What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Now, I recently made a video about platinums that was so good, so much fun, that I would definitely earn again. Now, sadly, not every game I play and every platinum I earn made me feel like that. Some of the games, some of the platinums weren't fun. They were either poorly made trophy lists, or they just weren't that good games, or maybe both. You know, the game where you already started, you got to see it through, because you're all about that life, finishing games, and you didn't have a great time doing it. And that's what, in this video, what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about some games that I played, didn't really enjoy them, and I didn't enjoy the Platinum Trophy as well. Some of the games actually on this list I did enjoy, but the trophy list just took it to the next level and just made me, made me feel like cut to an angry version of PlatinumBro. Now, I'm going to start with a positive, kind of. So this first game is Borderlands 2. Hey-oh! 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 By Gearbox Software, Borderlands 2 puts you in the crazy looter-shooter game world from a game that came out in 2012 and was remastered for the PlayStation 4. It truly is a really great game. There's so much going on. It's got co-op all the time. It's that actual rewarding looter-shooter combat that I really enjoy when it's done right. I think most AAA games that have actually come out that have tried to emulate Borderlands 2's success have ultimately fallen flat on their faces and failed the looter-shooter genre completely. Borderlands 2 was in its element. It had such rewarding loot, it had such fun gameplay, it was really funny, it didn't take itself too seriously, and all in all, a really good game. The Platinum Trophy, however, is a different kettle of fish. It is kind of incredibly grindy and long. The game is about 50 hours, and then you have to play through the game again, and then you have to then do all of the DLC, and all in all, it comes in about 130 to 40 hours to do the DLC and the Platinum Trophy, and it's just a lot of repetitive grind. You have to discover all of the locations on the map, which involves pretty much just running around, driving around, uncovering all of the map. There's not too many collectibles, thankfully, but there is this really annoying challenge mode where basically the game just consists of hundreds and hundreds of challenges that you can do at any time during the story, and some of them are randomly generated. So one of them is to find Jimmy Jenkins. He's really annoying. I have mentioned this in the past, that as being one of my most annoying trophies, but also just on the whole there's a lot of tick boxing to do with this game. Thankfully a lot of it is tracked, but all in all it is incredibly grindy, and the DLC has a lot of special gear loot drops which are really hard to farm yourself. So if you can get somebody who's already got the platinum or the DLC and they can give you the certain items you're looking for, they can make it really easy. However, if you don't have that access to somebody else, there's a lot of grinding by yourself, and I think it could easily rack up to being 160, 170 hours. Now, the game is incredibly rewarding and it is a really good game. It's definitely without a doubt the best game on this list, but at the same time, it's just, it's just too much, and I think it really wears you down when you're doing a lot of the same stuff, especially when you finish the game twice, you've had your fill. I personally enjoyed my first 60, 70 hours of Borderlands. I enjoyed Borderlands 2, I enjoyed the DLC, but when it came to like the 80, 90 hour mark, and I had like 30 hours ahead of me of just replaying, just grinding, just leveling up, it was too much, and I think that's the problem with Borderlands 2 trophy list. Okay, so next is Sly Cooper 4 Thieves in Time. Now, I'm a pretty big Sly Cooper fan. He's probably my favourite mascot platformer, mascot character, and I really loved him going back as a kid. And I recently played through the original trilogy on the PlayStation Vita, and they're all pretty good games. They hold up pretty well. I actually think the first one is probably the best, and Sly 4, it's a pretty good, it's an okay Sly Cooper game. It's definitely probably the worst of the four, and I think it has some cool mechanics, but it has a really empty open world, and it's a bit kiddie now. I think as I played it last year or the year before, I feel like it was maybe made for a younger generation and not necessarily for someone who's in their mid-20s, which, that's nothing wrong with the game, but the Platinum Trophy is kind of just grindy and not fun at all. There's a lot of really annoying trophies. You get like 20-30% of the trophies just by finishing the main game, but there's a load of miscellaneous trophies which particularly aren't very fun. So a couple that come to mind are, firstly, there is a dance section with Carmelita, and you have to do the whole dance section without missing a beat. Now, this doesn't sound pretty difficult, and it isn't difficult, but there's like a 5-minute introduction every single time. And so if you mess up at about 9, 10, 11 minutes into this sequence, you're going to redo it again. I think it took me about 5 or 6 attempts, which doesn't sound too bad, but an hour of doing the same button pressing can be really annoying. Next was the training montage. So about chapter 3, you as Murray have to train one of the Sly characters, because it's all about Sly travelling back in time and meeting his ancestors, and it is quite difficult. You basically have to do like 10 random training montages which involve like moving the controller, doing button pressing, and about 3 or 4 of them are really easy, but there's one where you have to sort of balance this beam, and it is really, really hard. It took me probably about 3 to 4 hours of trying, and again, it's not the fact that it was difficult, it's the fact that it just wasn't fun at all. You're doing the same button pressing stuff, and it was mundane and unrewarding, and it was just a grind, and I really didn't like it. But there's one trophy that I really didn't enjoy about this game, and that was they're using the map in every single episode. Now that sounds like easy, like what do you mean use the map? If you knew going into it that you have to open the map in every level, it isn't a big deal. But there's like 30 or 40 different episodes, and you basically have to open every single map in every single location that you go into in the entire game. There's probably easily 50-60 locations, so basically I had to replay the entire game just to open the maps. And I think although it's not too bad, it's just really annoying because there's no tracking system at all for this trophy. So you literally have to like download, I had to like go online and find out every single level, every single map within every single level. It involves replaying a lot of different sections of the game, pretty much every section I had to play again and again, and had to keep opening the map time and time again, and then I finally did it, and it took me probably 10 hours to do this. And again, at this point I had earned every other trophy in the game. This game's easily a 15 to 20 hour platinum, and if you plan. If you don't plan, it can easily be up to 40 hours. And if you've played a Sly Cooper game, if you played Sly 4, you know they're not incredibly deep games, that haven't got much going on below the surface, and when you play the game like this for 40 hours, it definitely becomes apparent that this game is a little bit of smoke and mirrors. Okay, so next is my rarest trophy. It's my rarest platinum trophy, which is PlayStation VR World. So this was the game that came free with your PlayStation VR, and I just want to say it's actually a pretty good VR demo, kind of like Astro Rescue, where you sort of have to like Astro Playroom, where you have to like, you get an idea as to what the controller offers you. It's very much the same with the PlayStation VR and the Move controllers, and there's a few really fun little game modes in there, and I have to say the London Heist is so much fun, and the shooter arcade built into it is just, it's an absolute blast. And if you have a PlayStation VR, you definitely should play this game. However, basically PSVR World consists of 4 or 5 different mini games, all showing a different part of the VR headset and how it works. 2 of them are pretty difficult. So the first one is the Luge. Luge, you know, you're basically on a skateboard lying on your back, and you have to do race tracks, and you have to basically do them all to the highest standard. You have to complete all of the VR Luge Tour challenges, which basically involves doing like 2 or 3 races in a row 4 times, and they are pretty tough. And this is like one of my first ultra rare trophies I ever earned. I think you have to do like 4 races in the total of like under 4 minutes total combined time, and they're pretty difficult. It basically means you have to like make no mistakes, no collisions, and you have to learn the tracks, because at certain points you can boost and you can't boost. It was pretty difficult. It took me like probably 20 hours of just playing over and over again the same tracks over and over again. Pretty soul destroying. However, that was the second hardest part of the game. The hardest part is Danger Ball. Danger Ball is the part where basically it's like a sort of tennis, where you as yourself are the controller, and you have to sort of hit the ball back at the wall, and it becomes faster and faster and faster, and you basically have to get a certain score for the score attack, and it is pretty tough. Now, I don't want to say it's not incredibly hard. Like, there's a lot of like experienced trophy hunters who watch these videos, and it's probably only like a 7 or an 8 out of 10, but you do spend your time, a lot of time in the VR headset, which if you played the VR headset, you know that it can be make you feel sick, make you feel a bit nauseous, and you can't handle long periods of time in the VR. I can't anyway. I don't get particularly unwell, but I know after 2 or 3 hours in the VR, my eyes get really fatigued, and it was basically playing that same game mode over and over again for like 30 hours. And as well, it's not only that, it's because it's such an animated game, you're always looking, making sharp turns, sharp decisions, that made it sort of not only were your eyes getting fatigued, your brain is like moving around in your head all of the time, and it was really, really tough. And I think I almost gave up on this one. It was really hard, and I think it took me probably 30 hours, and I would give it an 8 out of 10 for difficulty, and I couldn't do it. I don't think I'd have the patience to do it again, is why I put it on this list. Now, the next game on this list is Resident Evil 6. I did a review of this, a Platinum Trophy review, where I really heavily slayed this game, and I've actually rewatched it recently, and I do agree with a lot of my points that I made in that video, which you can go watch if you want to see my full opinion of this game. I didn't enjoy it. I really didn't enjoy it. I've only played Resident Evil 5 and 6, so if you're a hardcore Resident Evil fan, you know I'm probably doing you a disservice and doing the franchise a disservice. I will play Resident Evil 2 and 3, they're on my list. Resident Evil 6 is not a good game, first and foremost. It is, the story is like crazy. I've never played a game with such bad story, and that's saying something. It's so convoluted, it's just all over the place. You don't even know what's going on. I think that I played through the game 3 times, and then at the end of it I actually sort of knew what was going on, but in the end it's all just so bad. The characters are so poorly wrote, they get such bad screen time. Chris and Leon are really butchered in this game. I know they're not incredibly well. I don't know much about Leon because I've only seen him in Resident Evil 6, but I played a lot of Chris in Resident Evil 5 and 6. He's one of my favourite characters of all time because he's just a walking meme, but he really gets given a disservice in this game. And so it's just not a good game, and the Platinum Trophy is pretty easy. You just got to do the whole game on the hardest difficulty, get a few collectibles and do some upgrades. It takes you about 50 hours. It just isn't fun. You won't have a good time earning a Platinum Trophy for this one. And also the DLC, you pretty much can't do it without a boosting partner. So if you want to spend 50 hours of your life boosting with one other person, like this mug did, then you can do that, but I wouldn't recommend it at all. The multiplayer, again, is probably the worst third-person multiplayer I've ever played. Now the final game on this list, if you know me, you've watched any of my videos, this will come as no shock to you, and that is Marvel's Avengers. Now this is one of the buggiest and most disappointing games I've ever played. To be honest, as a die-hard Marvel fan, I wanted it to be better. I saw the trailers, I saw the demo, I knew going in what it was going to be, and it was going to be an unpolished, empty, unfinished looter fighter game, and that's ultimately what it was. And because of that, because my expectations weren't too high, I was still not as disappointed as I could have been. But it was just the idea and the knowledge of the wasted potential of this game. It really was just not good enough. An 8-hour story which was so short, so rushed, and then followed by a 50-60 hour empty end game, and with no reward. The loot system still to this day is totally broken and pointless. There's just no point to it at all. You level up, and as you level up, the game levels up with you, and you get no benefit from actually leveling up, and it expects you to do that. And I think it's totally pointless. The game ultimately serves no purpose after the main story, which is 8 hours and pretty bad. Now the Platinum Trophy experience was one of the worst that I've ever had, and that's because, firstly, it's a grindy game. They made the trophies disgustingly grindy. We're looking at, you have to level up every single character to level 50, so that's 6 characters. There's now 8 characters. I'm not sure if the new DLC characters affect that trophy or not, but you have to upgrade the 6 main characters to level 50. Then on top of that, you have to do 50 hive missions, I believe, which were glitched essentially, and you have to do them all by yourself. All of the trophies were glitched. There was collectibles which were intel files which were randomly dropped collectibles. Guys, I hate randomly generated of anything, and especially if they're linked to trophies. I think it's so just a massively poor design, really thoughtless, really unfair on trophy hunters to do this. So not only is there randomly generated collectibles, there's also everything was glitched. I think I had to collect actual intel, and I had to do it with Thor, and I think I had to collect about 80 to get the trophy for collecting 50 of them. It was really disgusting. And then again with the hives, I had to do bear in mind, each hive takes about 25 minutes to do. I had to do about 80 of them by myself, and I think Avengers came in last year as my most played game with 120 hours in. I didn't enjoy my time playing it pretty much at all. I only enjoyed about 20 hours of that 120 hours. It just isn't particularly good game. The combat's okay, but it's just bogged down by terrible AI, really boring level design, really boring enemies, and a pointless loot system and a pointless upgrade system. So what is there? After 2-3 hours of getting bored of the combat, there's nothing else there. And then again, glitchy and grindy as trophies. I couldn't recommend this game to anybody other than maybe a 10-year-old kid who loves Avengers. If you love Avengers, then yeah, go for it. But in terms of trophy hunting, I could not recommend the trophy list for this game to anybody. And there you have it, guys. There was 5 games that I have earned the Platinum Trophy in, which there's no way in hell I will be playing those games and earning a Platinum Trophy again. Let me know down below if you've played any of these games. I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree with me about the Platinum Trophy? Let me know what your games are. Is there games you play which you've looked at yourself in the mirror and went, dude, I'm never playing that game again. I'm never doing this game again. A lot of these games have made me reevaluate the games that I play, and because of these games, these actually have made me more selective as a gamer. I don't want to thrust myself into a game that's either really grindy or just really unfair to earn the 100%. I'd like to thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take it easy.